Hi, and welcome to Razz Reviews. Today I'm going to be reviewing Brightburn. Brightburn is a mix of two genres, the horror genre and the superhero genre, and it basically tells the story of a family that adopts an alien baby that develops superhuman powers and then turns evil. It's basically what if Superman, instead of becoming a good superhero, realizes that his powers make him superior to humanity and that he can enslave us all. Thus, you get Brightburn. This movie is produced by James Gunn from Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's written by his brothers. And I always thought that the premise for this movie was very, very interesting and intriguing. It poses an interesting question: what if young Clark Kent was basically an evil little prick? I found this movie to be enjoyable, a little flawed in its storytelling, but overall, it was a fun watch, to be honest. It was very dark, much darker than I thought it would be, and also was very bloody and gory. Here in the Middle East, we're sort of getting the R-rated version. I don't know what it is out there in other countries, so be careful. There are scenes in here that are really, really hard to watch. And for me, I didn't know that they were there, so they kind of came out of nowhere, so I wasn't prepared, and I was like halfway through my food, and I wish I wasn't, because that was not fun. For all you horror gore fans, you probably will enjoy that. I enjoyed it. The cinematography is really nice, and the production design. I really like how the kid looks and the stuff that he wears. I really like the fact that he has this sort of cape on his back. It's not really a cape, it's kind of like his cover or duvet, but it sort of becomes a cape that's torn up and messed up, and it really emphasizes the juxtaposition between him and Superman, because Superman has a cape and all this kind of stuff. It reminds me of the what if kind of storylines in the comics, where they try to imagine what if our favorite characters are actually evil, what would they do with their powers? And I thought it was a very interesting and very entertaining train of thought to follow, and the film does follow it. It does give you an evil, superpowered human being. The stakes are very high, which was also very nice. You know for a fact that this kid is pretty much unstoppable, so whenever he shows up or whenever he attacks someone, you're always at the edge of your seat. So the tension is very high, which made the movie very captivating. A big takeaway from this film is basically, if you don't like kids or you don't want to have kids, this movie is not gonna help. The idea of mixing horror and superhero is really cool. It works very well here. I'm surprised we haven't seen it a lot. We have seen it in films like Chronicle, but that's more like dark drama or thriller. It's not really horror. This movie takes on the horror elements. It has a bunch of jump scares. It has the same kind of music, very similar thematics and motifs. I'm hoping we get to see more of this stuff because it's a really nice smash and it actually works pretty well. Even though the story concept and the premise is really cool, the movie does fall short in certain areas, especially when it comes to story and especially when it comes to character. The characters here are a little two-dimensional sometimes. There isn't really much to them. The parents are pretty much Pa and Ma Kent, except with a much more difficult child at home. The kid is evil. His transition from sweet child to evil, to me, was not very satisfying. It was a little rushed. When I think about what if Superman became bad, to me that's a very nuanced conflict or transition inside him. I would like it to be due to internal conflict within himself because of things he has experienced in the human world that makes him turn on humans in a sense. That's not really what happens here. I'm not gonna spoil how it happens, but generally, it felt a little empty for me, like just a switch of a button. Something external affects this kid, and thus he becomes the evil monster. I wish it was a little bit more profound than that. It's a question of nature versus nurture, and I really like when films address that kind of topic. And at the end of the day, this basically resulted in a lot of missed opportunities when it comes to emotion. I didn't really feel a connection with any of the characters. I didn't find myself rooting for anybody. I just found myself watching the events unfold, enjoying some of the cool moments, but I never really cared about anybody that much, which made me feel a little bit disconnected from the film overall. And because they themselves didn't really have a lot of inner conflict. The biggest missed opportunity is with Elizabeth Banks' character, the mother, who is a mother to this child. Even though it's not her child, she raised it, but it's her son. He's been with her since he was a baby. She thinks it's a miracle, But her inner conflict of, he's my kid, but he's evil, was not really there that well. Most of her emotional transitions were also like that. And that made them feel a little rushed and unearned. You don't really feel bad for anybody here. You just enjoy what's going on at a very shallow level. It never really hits home. It never really hits you deep. However, all in all, despite being a very straightforward movie, I liked Brightburn because it feels different than anything else that has come before, and I like it when movies like this take a risk. It's always interesting to watch because you don't know what to expect, and there were a lot of moments in here that have actually surprised me, despite some predictability in the storytelling, but overall in mood, atmosphere, and setups, there were some really cool surprises there. There were some really entertaining moments there, and I personally enjoyed it. I wish it was a little bit more profound, but overall, as a fan of horror and as a fan of superhero movies, I thought this film was a really interesting mash, and I would like to see more of the same. And I'm gonna give Brightburn a 7 out of 10. So, have you seen Brightburn? What do you think about it? Do you agree with me? Let me know in the comment section. And as always, like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to ask me what you'd like me to review for you next. See ya!